Welcome back to the channel. My name is Brad, the Spirits Pro. I'll try to make this video pretty quick tonight as the game is only on in about an hour's time. So let's do this. So the most traded in player this week is Dangerfield. I'm going to assume it's probably for Impey as the replacement, the main replacement for Impey. I think he's probably the best, especially at that price. Probably average you around 95, 100 for the rest of the season. Looks to be getting back into form. Hasn't turned up this year yet, but with an easy fixture coming up, I reckon he will have a good back end of the season. And yeah, I think he's got something to prove. The Cats have something to prove after last year's grand final loss, so he'll be in some hot form, I reckon, back end of the season. Here's one you should target. I can't go into too much detail on who and why. I'll just tell you just who to pick. I'll try to order them 1 to 10 sort of thing. One would be Zorko for me. Two would be Zeeble. I'm just trying to do this on the fly. I'd say three would probably be Bailey Dale. Sorry. Four would be Danger for me. Five would be Dixon. And then sort of your 6 to 10 could be anything. It could be a Steele. It could be a Langford. It could be a Hind. It could be a Green. It could be a lot of things. It could be a Taylor Walker. It could be anything, to be honest. I think if you have a look at the averages for the forwards, let's just go off top 10, right? The top 10, it averages 92 to 113. So hypothetically, if you have a forward that you're bringing in that's going to average you 90 for the rest of the season, that's a pass mark. That's how you mathematically do it in your head. So Bramble's obviously been traded in. I do reckon job security for these rookies I recommend as a priority rather than these dead rookies, because imagine at the end of the season, you don't have a lot of these rookies because they get rested, and you've brought in dead rookies back in the season, and now your rookies that you did have are dropped. So I'd rather Aoki Bramble. He hasn't set the world on fire, but I think he is a good pick. So he's not going to score more than 50s every week. You don't really expect much from a rookie, to be honest. Anything above a 40 is nice because they're just fill-in players. This is probably the one I would pick after next week. He scored 79, I think, last night against the Tigers. If you can maintain his spot when Noah Anderson comes back in the side and Greenwood comes back in the side, he's one you could look at because he's got 76 and 79. But the dual position is what? Oh no, he's not even dual position. I thought he was dual position, so never mind what I was going to say about that. Zorko, obviously bring him in if you had the money. I'd rather him over the Bont just for money wise. I think they'll probably average around the same if Zorko can keep the form he's in. And that dual position is really flexible too. It's really good. Kieran Briggs, if you brought him in, you should have known that Mumford was always going to take his spot. If you brought him in over the buys and you have heaps of trades, you probably don't give a stuff, but that's fine. Jacob Edwards, haven't looked at him because he's not playing, so I don't know why people bought in this spud, so maybe just for loophole options, I'd say. Ridley is a good buy. Don't have to get into numbers. I'm sure a majority of you have already looked at him. Steele's also a good pickup. Mills also a great pickup. Traded out for Impey is the main one, and Doc. We'll go over those two real quick. I do apologise. I tried to make 3 or 4 videos tonight, obviously about the same sort of content, but I've just had so many problems with the internet, and just I lost the video that I did before. It went for about 20 minutes, and I just couldn't find it anywhere. It was really weird. Anyway, sort of lost track of what I was talking about. So Impey, if you have a look at who he's traded out for, majority of competition are going for Dangerfield, and then they're going for rookies, so they must have some DPP swing where they can use a Waitman or a Coleman Jones, which isn't probably a great example, as their forward cover. He's been brought in for sort of your Nortons or your Tex Walkers, which are probably going to give you similar outputs. So I guess the reason why people would, they don't have a lot of money, so they go on that option instead. But yeah, the majority of competition is going to go for Dangerfield. I think anything around the average of 90 is fine for your replacement of Impey, because Impey was going to probably get you that anyway. Doherty trade outs. I dodged a bullet here. I was going to bring him in by DPP instead of Pendlebury. So what have they thought here? So Ridley, that's perfect. I really rate that one. Callum Mills is perfect too. Obviously done that by DPP. I'd probably rather Rich over these options. I think he's more of a pod than there's other ones. although pods can really hurt you at the back end of the season. Now, just my thoughts, what I've done is I've ran so many options. I'll go through it just a little bit. I don't want to ramble too much, but just my thoughts behind it. Because it's interesting, I've spent a lot of time thinking about what player to pick for 470k for my forward line replacement. Obviously, if I could, I'd pick Zorko or somebody like that, or a Dangerfield perhaps, if I had the money. I didn't like Tom McDonald. I did like Franklin, but I just didn't trust his durability. If you have more trades than me, I reckon you could probably go him, just because he might get rested back in his season. He's got the best ceiling out of these players, and has a good fixture coming up. Darcy Cameron's probably your best pod option. He's got 90s in there. He's got a few tons in there too. So I like that as a pod option for the money. Isaac Smith, I think, is good for his dual position and his safety. He's always going to get 80s as a floor. He'll have a few bad games. I don't reckon he'll score 60s now that Duncan's out. So he's probably best for your durability / dual position. Stringer is probably your best bang for buck in a way because he can go absolutely crazy. But then he can also have a really bad game at 20 and a 27. But he's got such a high ceiling. Same with Jezza. I think he's a good pick. If you've got Hawkins, it might not be a bad sort of 1-2 combo because one of them's going to go large every week and give you 150. So if you want to do a tie-in sort of pick, you could do that. They've got a soft fixture coming up. So that might not be a bad pick there. This is the man I'm going for. Norton, and you're probably asking why you're going for another key forward, Brad, but I think for me, it's his probably consistency. You take out his bad game, he's got 164 game, he's got a few 70s, which most forwards at this price do, but he's got 1, 2, 3, 4. He's got 4 games between 80 and 100, and then 3 tons. So I just like his ceiling a bit better than Smith. He's gone to 112. He's got Bont feeding him. And I don't have Bont, so it gives me an opportunity to sort of back Bont to have a good game, but also kick it, and Norton will sort of make me not have the Bont pain in me. So, yeah, you can tell I'm pretty salty about not owning him at the moment. Marshall is one I'd love to pick. I just don't have enough trades to sideways him if he gets injured again with that foot. He didn't have a lot of time on ground against Richmond, so 68 is actually not a bad score for his percent on ground. If you had 6 trades and you had a lot of trades to burn, and you had another week to look at him, he's got a high break even. But he's a player we know can average 100 and something. He's in 1% of size, so he's a great pick. Just if you have the trades, you could. Dre is another pod sort of guy off that half back. He's a little bit more risky for me. I mean, if you have a Briggs or Madden, I think he's the trade you would do. Sorry, I haven't changed it back, but this is what you can see his scores have been. So, he's got a couple bad scores. Mackay is probably my best value pick in terms of... Sorry, my cat's chewing flowers. It's so distracting, which is really random. But he's got a lot of 80s, 70s in there. He's 315k. I prefer him over Darling. He doesn't score as bad. So that's one you could look at for sure. So I just had to get my cat off the bench. She's so annoying right now. But that's all the options I'd be looking at. I was going to go into a bit of detail of the lineups, but I just don't got enough time by the time you guys see this anyway. So that's it for me. Hopefully you guys have a good week, and I'll catch you